Hey, it's Matt from Black Hole Woodworking. Welcome back. This hunk of wood here is going to become one of the biggest bowls I've ever made. I used a bandsaw to get it to this point, and yes, there's a big spot missing in the middle because I'm trying to use an efficient amount of wood. This won't be a tutorial per se. I'm just going to show you how I got around to do this whole thing. There's 3 layers of walnut glued up. They're about 1.5 to 1.75 inches each, so it's going to be a fairly deep bowl. I figured out pretty quick that even though I'm making a foot to grab onto, or I guess a tenon to grab onto, I still need a wider foot. So that's what you see with the pencil marks nearer the outside of the bowl. It took me about an hour to get this thing down to round and hollow at the inside. You're seeing the quick version of it. Here I'm clarifying that foot I was talking about and refining it with a scraper. It just seemed to be the thing that worked. The overall dimensions of this bowl maxed out my lathe at about 13.5 inches. I couldn't even get my finger between the bowl and the lathe bed when it was done. Here I'm using a bowl gouge to do a shear cut. The scraper didn't actually give me that clean of a cut. In fact, it tore out some grain. So the shear cut helped a lot. For this finish, I'm just using walnut oil. I gotta say, this stuff looks really good when you've got all that oil applied and buffed in. That shine's incredible. The inside I'm hollowing out with a 1/2 inch bowl gouge. There's obviously this giant rectangle in the middle that I'm a little concerned about. Half of what I'm cutting is air, and we'll see how this goes. Surprisingly, the first cuts are really clean. Nothing chipped out or broke out, it just cut nicely. It's almost like doing a live edge bowl. You have a lot of air to cut there too. So we're going to kind of cruise through this hollowing section as lots of it's very much the same. Those are some of my favorite curly little shavings. Turned out really well. Those pesky little corners from that rectangle I made are kind of a bit of a pain. So I drew myself a mark on the outside of the rim so I can keep most of the rim as much as possible. I do want a fairly beefy rim for this bowl. And then I switched to a scraper to try and address some of those corners in the bottom of the bowl there. To remove the last bit of the bump, I'm just pushing the scraper directly into the wood. It's about the easiest way to get rid of it. Using a bowl gouge, it's a little more work and a little trickier to do. So, scrapers it is. To give the rim a little bit of shape, I'm cutting a curve down toward the middle of the bowl so that when you hold it, it feels really nice in the hand. The inside finish is the same as the outside. It's walnut oil. It's about time to take this off the lathe. I hope you enjoyed the video. Hope this gave you some ideas. And this thing is really a lot bigger than it looks, at least in real.